everybody. As you can see, my hair is at that unruly stage. I mousse it, comb it, and after a while, well, it would probably stay if I didn't keep doing this, but I do. So, tonight we're going to start with Luke's account of the birth of Christ, and we're starting in chapter 1. Now, so Luke was a physician. He was a doctor, and he was a studier. So he did a lot of research and talking to people who were there when Christ was born, and getting as much as and getting the full account. And as we know, all scripture is God-breathed. So we can be assured that this is truth. And so this is a letter he's writing to Theophilus. Theophilus is a very important figure in the Bible. My canvas is prepped, and we're ready to go. So the first person that is involved in the story in Luke's letter about this time is Zacharias. Zacharias is the husband of Elizabeth. And they're both up there in years. Gabriel has come down while Zacharias was in the temple burning incense. And he was God had seen him and Elizabeth as some of his most obedient children. And they were both righteous before God, walking in all his commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless. So that doesn't mean they never sinned. It just means that they were righteous in God's eyes because they did everything they could. Generally, whenever God sends an angel, well, generally, always, when God sends an angel to speak to somebody on his behalf, he means business, and it's got a very good reason. That telling Zacharias and Elizabeth that in their old age they are going to have a child there's a very good reason for it. And that is because John has a job. He's going to be named, the child will be named John, and he's going to have a job, and that is to announce Jesus' coming ministry. I know I didn't say that nearly as well as Luke did, but that is it. That's his reasons for being born. And I'm not sure what time of day it was, but I'm going to paint kind of a gray, like things are dimming, because I want to start on, I won't draw that whole star that announces where Jesus is born, because it's not nearly time for that yet. But I do want to put some stars out there, just as kind of a prologue, I guess. I know it was not nighttime. I'm just choosing to do this. We could say it was dusk. It was dimming. A lot of times Gabriel would announce things in a dream. Now, I know that looks weird right now, but you saw where I was going to paint the figures, and that's where I'll put them. So I will be back, and we'll get into the business part of this painting. Well, I'm going to call that good. And we'll put a few little stars in the night sky here. So it's kind of dusk, but I do. Now, of course, there are people outside of the temple. But Zechariah is alone inside. He does see people when he comes out. All right. To make it a little bit ornate. I don't know if that's ornate or messy. Put a blue rug here. I'm sure they had some rugs on their floors, even if their floors were dirt, because if they could weave fabric for clothing and tents, I'm sure they could weave fabric for a rug. Don't you think? I think so. I do think so. It looks more like a sofa than a table. I may have to correct something there. Now, Zacharias, the reason he's in the temple is he is a priest. And Gabriel has come to tell him that his wife, Sarah, his wife Elizabeth, not Sarah, that was Abraham, is going to have a baby and that they will name him John. And immediately Zacharias gets kind of he starts doubting, let's just put it that way. He doubts because his wife, he said, my wife's old, I'm old, she's barren, because they had never had any children. Elizabeth was barren, and which means she had never conceived. He just plain didn't believe it. He doubted. And for that, because he doubted, he was struck dumb. In other words, he was not able to speak. And he was told that he would not be able to speak. There's way too much of that, but he would not be able to speak until the child was born. This is that metallic gold, and you have to dab it because it just doesn't paint it. You have to dab. Zechariah is old and gray, and so is Sarah, and this is why he insisted that it was just impossible. And we've heard that story when we were talking about Abraham and Sarah. He does not need to have his robe flared because he's not the angel hovering above. So, until John was born, he was not able to speak. He was totally mute. So when he came out of the tent, the people looked at him and they were like, he couldn't speak to them. He was just kind of signaling them that he couldn't speak. So they were perplexed. They didn't know what was going on. And I'm making him look much fatter than I should. But he's got one arm over here and one arm up there, kind of, how can you say this? Or he knows Gabriel's an angel, obviously. But it's like, Gabriel, did you get the wrong guy here or what? You just never know what. I mean, of course Gabriel got the right guy. But, you know, we question God a lot. We know he never lies, but we question him a lot. So we can't really fault Zacharias too much. But I think the reason he probably may have been struck dumb was so that he couldn't go around broadcasting this thing that was going to happen because of his doubts. If he would have gone around broadcasting and telling everybody what, if he'd have gone around telling everybody that, I was like, how am I going to make that blend? I don't know how I mixed that. There. We're fixed. Okay. So to review, now we will talk about Elizabeth as well next time. And okay, let's put I haven't got the incense on there either. Let's just do this like the real altar here. That metallic gold right here for the incense holder. Now I don't know what if they had like little pots that they put like potpourri, the potpourri type things that we do, if they had like little sticks of it, or you know, like a lot of incense, those little incense sticks. I don't really know, but I do know there was incense, and I do know that it has a pleasant odor, and that it does smoke. It doesn't always visibly smoke, but I mean, how else you gonna know? So there's the incense. I wish I was a little bit better artist, but there we go. Okay, back over this real quick. Zacharias is the husband of Elizabeth. And he is in the temple burning incense, and I think generally when they did that, they prayed. So I'm certain that's what he's doing, is in there. He's praying and he's burning the incense. Then Gabriel appears and says to him that his wife, Elizabeth, is going to have a child in her old age. And it's going to be a boy, and they're going to name him John. And the reason is because he is going to have a very important role in being the one who kind of talks to people or represents that Jesus is the important one and that he's going to be coming. He prepares the way. That's, I think, the way the Bible puts it. John prepares the way. Zacharias, being old and his wife being old, he's like, I don't believe it. We're just too old. You've got to be mistaken. And Gabriel's an angel, and he's been sent directly from God. So he strikes him dumb. He doesn't hurt him in any way. He just makes it so that he cannot speak. And he will not speak until the baby is born and he is able to name him. So that is the story of Zacharias and Gabriel. And I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you.